are here to wake up. Wake up. Wake up together.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up. Wake up.
Hello.
Hi.
We are back.
Hello again.
Welcome.
I'm Cassie.
And I'm Victoria. To see you again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're having so much fun with these videos and interacting with everyone and just sharing what we're going through, because I feel like at this time more than ever it's so important for us to connect to one another and to hear from one another and to know that we're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we're back, and today we're going to share about the emotions that are flying around lately. I don't know about you guys, but it's feeling...
Surf's up.
Surf's up. We're going to start surfing soon.
Riding the emotions.
Riding the emotional waves, yeah. And how that helps us to, well, how there's so many emotions in the air and so many differences of opinions out there, and it's getting pretty wild, it feels like, to myself at least. I don't know how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's okay. It's okay to feel a bit of chaos, and we're here to share that it's okay, and it's very normal for everybody to be going through a lot at the moment. There's so much happening out there, and there's so many different speculations of what it could be, and so many different beliefs and ideas and clashing beliefs and ideas that it can get pretty overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like for me at this time, there's just so much triggering coming up, so much that's like affecting my emotional state.
Mm-hmm.
Like 1 second I could be extremely confident about something, and then I'm more unsure, and then I'm a little bit angry, and then it's just like so much is coming up, and it seems like it's happening so quickly that it can seem overwhelming. It can feel overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, funny story from yesterday. I was feeling absolutely amazing, and then something triggered me and I got super grumpy that I was being triggered. Even though this is the work that we do, and we know that, we both know, you know, working with trauma and learning about trauma and how it's stored in the body, that anything that's being triggered is actually a good thing. It's actually one of the things that I like to say is up and out to be released, up and out to set me free. So if something makes me angry, then rather than run away from it or get upset with myself for feeling angry, it's like feel that anger, you know, allow that emotion to move. Mm-hmm. As we've spoken about a few times, emotion is energy in motion, and when we feel it, it's able to move through our body and, you know, come in through the front door and exit through the back door and not stay too long, so that we can move on and on with our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so huge to be able to give yourself that permission to feel what's coming up, and it's something that we're not taught how to do, and we're essentially taught from childhood to shove down, don't be too expressive, don't be overly expressive with emotion, and so we are all in a way conditioned to keep pushing things down or keep putting blame outside of ourselves and blaming this person and that person. I don't know who else has done that. But yeah, and so when we can learn to actually just accept and allow these emotions and give them permission to be there and almost surrender to them and say, okay, like, hello, here you are, this is okay for this moment, and feel it, then we're able to allow it to pass through us instead of getting stored in the body. And we do energy work, so we see this all the time, how you know, past traumas and emotions and things like that can actually get stored in the body, which is just so unbelievable, so amazing. Our bodies are just wowza.
It's so amazing. I know, we feel so grateful to have the teachings of energy healing and have the knowing that our body stores memory and emotion, and knowing that with everything that's going on in the world right now and being activated or triggered by different things and scenarios in our lives, it's actually a good thing. Like we said before, it's actually helping us to feel that thing that has been stored in the body, and when we feel it, it can actually leave our bodies, which sets us free. It's really the path to freedom.
Yeah.
And as you allow yourself to feel more and more and more, things become a lot easier. You know, life becomes a lot more manageable to move through. And it's like surfing the wave, right? The wave comes, well, what are you going to do? You have to ride it. Like, just ride that feeling, ride that wave. And actually, you know, if you do equate it to surfing, if you ride that wave, it's one of the most exhilarating feelings ever. And when we allow ourselves to feel an emotion, it is really exhilarating, because on the other side of that emotion, on the other side of that trigger, is a feeling of it's freedom, and like, I got through that, or
yeah, like a lightness comes once we've kind of gone through something more mucky. Then it's like, oh, you can take a deep breath on the other side and be like, wow, look at what I just came through. And we're so lucky to be doing the work that we're doing, and we host a women's circle. And so last night we had a women's circle gathering online, and it was just amazing. What's so amazing is that almost everyone in the world is being triggered in different ways right now, and we had women coming together, you know, with different beliefs and different perceptions of what's happening, and just so many differences, but to have everyone come together and to have a safe space to share and be open and genuinely connect, and know that it's okay to have differences and it's okay to share different perceptions, was just so incredible for us to get to hold space for and be a part of. And it was just such like a snapshot of what I feel is possible in the world. Is to hold space for each other and to genuinely connect with someone that may not see things exactly as you see them, but still be able to connect with that person and be like, wow, okay, like I see you still. I see you.
Yeah. It's like we have a couple of choices right now, you know, there's a whole bunch of kind of divide and conquering happening, where there's all these differences in opinions, and there's a lot of divide, and then a competition over that, like who's right and who's wrong. I'm more right than you, and you know how it goes. Or we have a choice to be curious with one another, and to allow that curiosity to connect us in a different level, in a different way. And I had this experience the other day. This is going to sound kind of funny, but I want to share it. It's coming through. I was on a walk. I just knew that I needed to get out into nature because I've been feeling a lot. And so I went for a walk, and I had this connection with a tree. And I was looking at the tree, and on the tree were these beautiful mossy pieces of moss on it. And I looked up and I was like, wow, look at this moss, it's really pretty. And then I looked at the rest of the tree, and the rest of the tree just looked kind of funny. There was this stuff growing on the bark, and I was like, wow, that's kind of ugly. And then I noticed myself judging this barky area to the moss on the tree. And when I did that, I noticed myself, and I was like, wow, I'm judging this. This is okay, this is interesting. And so instead of continuing with the judgment and walking away, I decided to get curious with the tree. And so I stood back and I just looked at it, and I wondered, okay, what is this stuff? And then I realized it was actually the spores that create the moss. So the thing that I thought was ugly was actually the moss, but in its development form. And so they were the same thing, but just in a different stage of their growth. And that was really a potent moment for me, and a potent teaching, that I could have judged it and walked away, but I decided to get curious with it and ask questions. And why I share this story is because I feel like that's what we can do with each other right now. There's so many differences in opinions, and we could be fighting and dividing and hurting one another, and essentially hurting ourselves. Because I know for myself, when I'm irritated or feeling different to someone, or not seeing eye to eye, it hurts me, because I really like connection. So instead of, you know, clashing with one another, we can ask each other, like, so what is going on for you? How did you get to that opinion? What are you feeling, you know? And that just opens one another up, and it creates a sense of safety. And that's what we all need right now, is to feel safe, because there's a lot out there that is contributing to not feeling very safe at the moment. And I think as humanity, are the one thing that can help us at the moment is to come together, you know, ask questions, get curious with one another, instead of you're wrong and I'm right, and you're bad for making that choice and I'm good. It's like, hey, let's ask, let's inquire, and we might learn something in the process. Yeah. And so with our women's circle connection, it's just been so such a beautiful way to come together and be able to hold that space for one another.
Yeah, it's so amazing. And when we get curious, we're able to see like really see the person and see, oh wow, you came to that belief or perspective out of a fear of this or that, and really like we can all relate on having fear of something. We can all relate on on not feeling safe. And so when we can see that in another person, be like, wow, okay, that's where you're coming from. It's just so huge. And you're right, it seems like exactly what I would dream to infuse the world with right now, is this curiosity, and really making a safe space for people to express what's most important to them and what's inside their heart.
Yeah. And oftentimes a person's just looking to share and get it off their chest. We don't even have to fix it or change it, but just listen to each other and hold space for one another. I know that that's what I want, and so I could imagine that that's what everyone else would want, wish for.
Especially as we're riding the waves of, as you said earlier, so much is being activated right now. It's like, I feel like as humanity, this is our biggest activation time, where so much is coming up and so many feelings are coming up. And especially like the last, I guess it's been 6 months now, a lot of people have maybe lost their jobs or maybe started working from home and found that they've had more time on their hands. And with that has maybe opened the space for emotions to come up and to see things that maybe weren't as clear before. And so really, as all of this is happening, it's so important to give yourself that permission to feel whatever's coming up and allowing whatever is coming up to be there. Or we can continue to just stuff it down, throw more stuff on top of it. But that doesn't really get us anywhere, and that doesn't help us start to feel safe in our bodies, safe on this earth, safe to be here.
And safe to communicate with one another, because right now it feels kind of unsafe sometimes, you know, when we're all laughing. Pardon us, we're all we're all lashing out apparently at one another. And it's like it doesn't feel safe to communicate. But I'm feeling called to share a story about something that happened for me over the last 48 hours with a friend, where I was activated with a friend of mine, and I feel so grateful to have moved through this with her, because it's just, I feel liberated now. But basically what happened was, I was in a feeling good state, and she came in with a lot of energy, and it activated me, it triggered me, it made me feel uncomfortable, and I wanted to get upset with her for making me feel uncomfortable. And then I remembered that, hey, it's not really her that's doing it. I've taken on her feelings. And why I'm sharing this right now is another thing that's super important is to not take things personally. Everybody is being triggered or activated or whatever you want to call it at the moment, and I think the best thing that we can do for one another is to hold space for each other, just to listen, to be there for one another, rather than take it personally and get triggered yourself. And if you are, that's okay too. Just allow yourself to feel whatever that trigger is. And for myself, I realized that it felt like a lot to take on that energy, but I chose it. You know, I took on her energy, her anxiety, and so then I started to get uncomfortable, and part of me wanted to run away. I didn't want to talk about it or reveal it, but later on I went to her and I apologized. I said, I'm really sorry, I didn't hold space for you, I didn't allow you to share your emotions. I instead took it on and then became uncomfortable myself, and then was upset with her for my discomfort. And so it was really beautiful to be able to have this communication in a safe space where we were able to walk each other through it. And now we're closer, we have a deeper friendship as a result. So if you're having that with any of your friends at the moment, I wanted to share that story to maybe help with that just listening to each other. And if you're feeling a lot of feelings coming up, if you're feeling differences in opinion and it's uncomfortable, just take a moment to sit with that and then see if you can communicate with each other. Because like we spoke about earlier, connection is everything. You know, connection is key, and we don't want to divide from one another. We don't want to have to leave one another and become disconnected, because that hurts. And yeah, that's the opposite of what we are, which is loving beings.
Yeah, that's such a great story and such a great example of what it means to hold space. When we take someone's emotion on or think that we have to fix, it makes us uncomfortable. It's like, oh, like I gotta do something about this, when really all at our core, I think what we're all wanting is that safe space to express and have someone just be an open vessel, just an ear to hear and witness. And we don't have to fix each other. We don't have to be combative with each other. We can simply hold space. And that just means, that might mean just listening and breathing as the person sharing with you. It might mean just letting them get what's on their chest out into the air, because as we spoke about earlier as well, when we keep things stuff down, as most of us tend to do in society, then that creates internal turmoil. And we really want to be that space for people to safely get that out, so it's no longer in their bodies, and that way, you know, we're also healing our bodies in that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so good. So good. Yeah, with all of that, Cassie and I have been every morning, well, most mornings, about 4 or 5 times a week, because we know there's, you know, we're feeling a lot, we're being activated a lot's coming up. We've taken it upon ourselves to do self-care mornings. And what that means is we get together and we do yoga and we do some breath work as well every morning. And it's really helped us to ground ourselves, to ground all the emotions that we're feeling, and to just take that space, that time to honor our own bodies and to come back home into our bodies, rather than having all our energy out there and awareness out there of what's going on and all the chaos. It's like these practices are helping us to bring all that energy back into our own bodies. And we've spoken before about this, but our body is really the safest place to be. And so this has just been monumental for us. It's shifting us in such big ways and helping us to really ground and be able to share with you guys. Otherwise we'd be flying.
Lost in the mind.
Lost in the mind and the chaos and the emotions.
Yeah, it's really been just an incredible experience doing these self-care mornings. And so with that, we're like, how can we bring this out to everyone, and how can we share this? And so we've decided that on November 11th, so 11/11, we're going to do a live self-care morning online, and it is going to be an amazing experience with yoga, meditation, breath work, and some journaling exercises to take away to just really ground into your body and really get present and be able to be present with whatever is coming up for you, and also shift some of that as well. The yoga and breath will help move through some of the things that might be happening for you. And this is really exciting. It's going to be on Zoom. We'll all gather together, and it's going to be by donation, so coming and just sharing whatever feels right for you. And it's going to be called Self-Care Yourself.
Self-care yourself.
Self-care yourself.
So important, you guys. Honestly, it's life-changing. And yeah, we wanted to make it by donation, to make it accessible for everybody, because we're here on a mission to help. Like, that is our mission. We're so dedicated to wanting to help people to feel safer, to feel more connected to your own bodies, and so that when we're more connected to ourselves, we can connect more easily to one another. And when you look at it from a scientific perspective, we've spoken about this before as well, it takes us out of that fight or flight response in our nervous system and puts us into that parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest, the much more relaxed state. And it actually shifts us from our lower brain stem, our lower brain center, which is our fight or flight and kind of fear response, up into the prefrontal cortex, which is where we're actually able to relate to one another better. We have better communication. Life is a lot smoother that way, because this is the more advanced brain. And so let's move up into this space together and take care of ourselves so that we can take care of one another, because we don't want to fight. Yeah, no fighting. Let's be peace and love.
Let's self-care ourselves.
Self-care ourselves.
Self-care yourself. So let us know down below if you are interested in that, and we'll give you more information information, and I'm so excited to be bringing this, to be sharing this. And we've been doing it ourselves for almost 3 weeks now, and it's been just incredible. It's been incredible.
It's been an amazing journey, honestly. I've learned about self-care over the years, and I didn't really understand what that meant because I wasn't really committing to it myself, and fully admitting in that. And now for the last 3 weeks, just being like, we have to. Like, it's just, we have to, otherwise I go into fear and I feel super uncertain about what's going on because my energy's all out there. But as we've come into these practices, it just grounds us and makes us super strong. So
yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, have a good evening, you guys.
Happy surfing.
Happy surfing. Surf them waves. We need to have that song. Everybody go surfing. Surfing USA. Maybe you're too young for that.
I know that song.
Okay, it's the Beach Boys. All right, and with that, adios.
Bye.
Amigos. Mwah.